prop here. How many of you know what a black card is? And does anybody know who makes the black card?
American Express.
Well, actually, there are two black cards. One is from American Express, and one is made by Visa that was launched about 2 years ago. And today they're involved in some heavy litigation that's costing both parties a lot of money and damaging, one would imagine, American Express's brand, because they've been around for a long time promoting this titanium black card. And American Express never registered its nickname, the black card, for a filing fee of about $325 with the U.S. government. American Express could have secured the rights to the name black card for credit services and avoided all of the harm that it now endures, potentially losing customers, potentially losing money, potentially damaging and diluting their brand, and spending a fortune on attorneys. This is one lesson, example of what intellectual property is and why it's important. This, of course, is a large global company, but it's just as important, if not more important, to small local companies and companies of all shapes and sizes. Sally, I assure you, this is a prop, it's not a real card, so I'm not available for sponsorship of the next gala. Other than Ralph, has anybody here ever received a letter demanding that they take down content or change their name from an attorney?
Gee, aren't I lucky?
Ralph's lucky, and it wasn't from me, I promise. But has anybody else had a concern about another company copying their trademark or their content, where they've had to send a letter demanding somebody else stop? Do you mind sharing with us?
Well, I had a slogan that I used, and I was reading one of the trade magazines one day, and there was my slogan on somebody else's ad. So we had to pursue. We wrote the letter, and they stopped. So.
Great example of intellectual property working for you. That slogan is presumably something that is valuable, is creative in your marketing, that customers remember and attach to your business. And when somebody else is using it and perhaps confusing people or benefiting from your hard work and creativity, you're losing something there, but I'm glad you were able to resolve it successfully. Well, stories like that happen all of the time, on small scales and big scales. Especially in today's world, because intellectual property is everywhere now. Content is everywhere. On the internet, it's so easy to generate content, to generate social media pages, to copy other people's content. 20 years ago, it was a much simpler time for logos and brands. Companies usually had one prominent brand that they featured in their marketing, and it was really just they had much more control over it because it wasn't digital and it wasn't widely available everywhere internationally like it is with a click of a mouse on the internet today. Today it's so cheap to copy it, and that amount of content and the amount of potential copying is just exploding every day, every week, every month. So it's more important than ever to take a step back, find out what your intellectual property is, and do what you can to protect it. Protecting it isn't all that complicated. It isn't all that expensive. There's a lot of simple, free things you can do to take steps to not only protect it, but to make it more valuable and more useful to your business. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Just here in Falls Church, we have so many examples of creative brand names and businesses. My kids and I love to go to Flippin' Pizza. It's right near where we live. And they love the name. I don't think they get the double entendre, I hope, because they're only a few years old. But it's fun to say, it's catchy, it's got attitude, and it's a very creative name. Now, what if there was a company in New York that had been around for 10 or 20 years, and they were called Jim's Flipping Pizza? And they decided all of a sudden they were going to enter the Washington market. And they did a little research, and they came across Flippin' Pizza, and they sent them a letter. And Flippin' Pizza's now spent a year or 2 years and thousands of dollars building signs, marketing, distributing flyers, creating a real, value in the community with their brand. And all of a sudden they're faced with this potential lawsuit or potential cost of changing their name and confusing all of their customers. That's intellectual property at work. Falls Church News Press, our esteemed local paper, full of intellectual property. All the content, creative, original. Of course, everybody's advertisements in the news press also. Creative marketing and slogans. We see in all of the ads in the news press. This is all types of intellectual property. What if there were websites just stealing the content from the Falls Church News Press's website without attributing it back to its original source, and the news press could be losing valuable readers and valuable subscribers and advertising dollars that are the basis of it being able to serve the community. So intellectual property is important to a business like that. Viget Labs, another very creative local company, has a multitude of blogs on their website with lots of valuable information about creativity and websites and multimedia. What if an employee from Viget decided next week to go out and start their own shop as a competitor? They come up with a name, they launch a website, and then they take all of the content that they had contributed to the blog and put it on their own website. Well, who owns that content? Was there a contract? What was the relationship between the ex-employee and Viget? These are intellectual property issues that, if addressed in advance with contracts and with protection and with notice, are easy to manage and easy to deal with. It's when they're not addressed in advance and you try to fix them when it's too late that it becomes a much more headache, and fortunately or unfortunately, the only people who win in that situation are the attorneys. Other examples of local businesses that have great logos: Vantage Fitness, Point of View Eyewear, Fall Properties, I know just recently moved within the city. These are just a handful of examples. I was browsing through the news press before and saw many creative ads. North Shore Design, who I know is here today, they're properly using a trademark symbol here. They've got a creative slogan, the next level in custom building and remodeling, a creative slogan, obviously playing off the double entendre of next level, and a creative logo. So intellectual property is all around us. If we don't take the steps to protect it, we're really letting the value that it can create for our business slip right through our fingers. It's everywhere. It's in signs. It's in advertisements. It's on your website. If your business has a Twitter account or a Facebook page, you've got all kinds of content and logos and newsletter articles on there. These are all types of intellectual property. If you have video or audio that you create for your marketing or for your customers, this is intellectual property. Brochures, podcasts. I mean, I'm sure you can think of other types that you may use in your business. It's really endless, the types of intellectual property that are out there. So now I want to go through just a few simple steps that you can use once you identify your own intellectual property to try to establish some more protection for it.